I never thought I'd end up slitting the tires of my mother-in-law's prized Cadillac just to watch her unravel on live national TV. But Evelyn Hargrove had spent years carving out my place in her perfect little dynasty, like I was yesterday's trash. That morning, as the email hit my inbox, "You're not welcome on the family cruise. Consider this your severance from the Hargrove legacy." I stared at the screen until the words blurred, my coffee turning to acid in my gut. And in that split-second fury, I grabbed my keys, drove straight to her gated estate in the hills of Malibu, and keyed, liar, into the pearl-white paint of her Escalade, the metal screeching like the scream I'd been swallowing since the day I said I do. It wasn't just the cruise. That was the cherry on a shit sundae she'd been force-feeding me for 8 years. Evelyn, silver-haired ice queen of Southern California's real estate empire, had decided I was the family stain from the jump. Sienna Hargrove,
Née Ramirez,
the Latina barista who snagged her golden boy with a smile and a latte, was never going to fit the mold. But what she didn't know, what she'd buried under layers of Botox and boardroom bullshit, was that I'd been the one bankrolling half her empire. Every mortgage payment on that sprawling Bel Air mansion, my overtime shifts at the hospital, the private school tuition for her grandkids, my nursing bonuses, funneled through anonymous trusts because my husband, her precious son Tyler, begged me to keep it quiet to avoid her wrath. I met Tyler in a coffee shop in Pasadena, back when I was 22, fresh off my RN certification, hustling double shifts to pay for community college. He was 25, heir to Hargrove Properties. But you'd never guess it from the rumpled button-down and the way he lingered over his Americano like he had nowhere better to be. "You're the first person in months who's asked if I want room for cream without sounding like they're reading a script," he said, flashing that boyish grin that hid the cracks. We talked for hours that night about his mom's iron-fisted control over the family business, how she'd clawed her way up from a trailer park in Bakersfield to penthouses in Beverly Hills after his dad bailed. I told him about my folks in East LA, immigrants who scrubbed floors so I could dream bigger. By closing time, he had my number, and 6 months later, we were engaged. The wedding was a circus. Evelyn insisted on footing the bill. No daughter of mine will slum it, but when the caterers quoted her 5 figures for crab legs and crystal, she balked. Tyler came to me in tears one night, whispering in our cramped Echo Park apartment, "She's gonna cancel it all unless we cut corners." But Sienna, I can't lose you. So I dipped into my savings, the rainy day fund from years of skipping vacations, and covered the shortfall. 10 grand, wired anonymously through a shell account I'd set up for emergencies. She never knew. To her, it was just generous vendors who ate the cost. That was the first secret. The first brick in the wall she built between us. After the honeymoon, Maui on points I'd racked up from hospital perks, Evelyn started the slow poison. "Darling, Tyler's allergic to takeout," she'd coo, sending over her personal chef to help with meals, implying my arroz con pollo was somehow beneath them. Then came the suggestions, elocution lessons to soften that accent, a personal shopper to elevate your wardrobe. I bit my tongue, told myself it was culture clash, that love meant bending. Tyler? He just smiled weakly, muttering, "Mom's old school.
Babe.
It'll pass." But it didn't. When I got pregnant with our first, little Mia, Evelyn swooped in like a hawk. "We'll raise her right," she declared, enrolling the unborn kid in Mandarin classes and organic meal prep services before I'd even picked a crib. Mia arrived screaming into the world at Cedars-Sinai, a tiny firecracker with my dark curls and Tyler's blue eyes. Evelyn held her for exactly 3 minutes before handing her back with a sniff. She'll need highlights young to blend in. I laughed it off then. Exhaustion making everything fuzzy. But the barbs kept coming, whispers at family barbecues about how I was wasting my potential on night shifts. How Tyler deserved a partner who could network at galas instead of changing bedpans. By year 5, the cracks in Tyler were showing. He'd started drinking more, coming home late from client meetings that smelled like Chanel No. 5. I confronted him one rain-slick night in our modest Silver Lake bungalow, the one we'd bought because Evelyn deemed my dream home in Boyle Heights too ethnic. "Is there someone else?" I asked, voice steady as I could make it. He crumbled, sobbing into my lap. "It's Mom. She's been pushing me. Says you're holding me back. That the board whispers about the trophy wife, who's really just arm candy."
Lies.
All of it. But it stung like truth. And that's when he dropped the bomb. The affair. Not with some starlet, but with Evelyn's protégé, a sharp-elbowed realtor named Brooke, 28 and blonde as a California sunset. I ended it, Tyler swore, clutching my hands. But Mom found out, and she made me confess. Said it was for the family's sake. For the family. As if I weren't the one who'd patched up his scraped knees, balanced the books when his investments tanked, or covered for his benders by calling in sick for him. I wanted to pack Mia and our boy, little Jax, who was toddling by then, and bolt back to my parents' duplex. But Tyler begged, and Evelyn orchestrated the reconciliation tour, couples therapy paid for by her, family vacations where she'd play the doting grandma, all while slipping me glances that said, "I own you now." That's when the real betrayal sank its teeth in. During one of those therapy sessions, really just Evelyn's hired shrink gaslighting me into submission, I overheard her on the phone in the hallway of her Malibu manse. "Yes. The paperwork's filed. The accident report pins it on her negligence. The insurance will cover the rebuild. And Tyler's clean." My blood ran cold. The accident. 2 years prior. A fire at one of Hargrove Properties' low-income complexes in South LA. 30 units gutted. Families displaced. One elderly tenant barely escaping with burns. The official story? Faulty wiring. Blamed on the maintenance crew I'd recommended when Tyler asked for reliable contacts from my hospital network. But I'd seen the invoices. Evelyn had cut corners on fire suppression systems to juice profits, rerouting funds to her vanity projects like that yacht club membership. I'd taken the fall without knowing. Signed a non-disclosure as consultant oversight, my name smeared in the local news as the negligent outsider who let the poor get burned. Tyler knew. He'd begged me to sign. Said it was just paperwork to protect the company and us. But Evelyn? She'd orchestrated it all, using my immigrant roots to paint me as the scapegoat, the unqualified hire who didn't belong. And, in return, she'd funneled the insurance payout straight into expanding her empire, while I got anonymous death threats from tenants who'd lost everything. I didn't confront them then. Not with Mia's ballet recitals and Jax's first words echoing in our home. Instead, I started my own ledger. Every wire transfer I'd hidden, the 20 grand for Tyler's business loan, that was really his coke habit, the 50 for the down payment on Evelyn's beach house that she claimed was inheritance from Daddy. It was all me, scraped from my veins like blood donations, because Tyler's salary went to her allowance system. He was her puppet, strings pulled from the boardroom, and I was the invisible glue holding the strings taut. The cruise invite came last Christmas. Gold embossed and smug. Hargrove family legacy voyage. Alaska bound. July 2025. Evelyn's 60th. A floating monument to her conquests, cabins for 20 relatives, excursions to glaciers, a captain's toast to unbreakable bonds. Tyler forwarded it to me with a winky emoji. Finally. A win. But 2 weeks ago, as I was prepping Mia's backpack for school, the email from Evelyn's assistant landed. Premises. Hargrove's directive. Sienna Ramirez Hargrove is uninvited. Effective immediately. Assets will be reassigned. Uninvited. Like I was a +1 who'd overstayed. Tyler called 5 minutes later. Voice cracking. Mom's just stressed about the merger. She'll come around.
Stressed.
That's what he called it when she froze our joint account that afternoon. 60,000 I'd saved for the kids' college. Vanished into Hargrove Holdings. That's when the keying happened. And the tire slashing. Small potatoes. Sure. But it felt like exhaling after years underwater. As I drove away from her estate, the security gates clanging shut behind me, I realized the cruise wasn't the prize. It was the stage. Evelyn thought she was untouchable, sailing off into the sunset with her sycophants, toasting to the empire she'd built on my back. But I'd paid for half that ship, literally, through the anonymous donations to her charity fund that greased the corporate sponsors.
And now?
Now it was payback time. I spent the next 48 hours in a fever dream of planning. Coffee-fueled all-nighters in my parents' kitchen, Abuela's rosary beads clicking on the formica as Mom brewed café con leche and Dad paced, muttering Mija, "Don't let them break you." I dug through old emails, unearthed bank statements from that offshore account Tyler thought I'd forgotten. The evidence was a grenade, proof that Evelyn's self-made billions were padded with my sweat equity. And worse, the fire cover-up. Emails time-stamped with her monogrammed signature approving the subpar materials. But the real dynamite? The secret she'd buried deepest. Tyler wasn't her biological son. I'd found it by accident, 3 years back, while sorting holiday cards in her home office. A faded birth certificate tucked in a locked drawer. Keys swiped from her purse during a bathroom break. Tyler James Whitaker. Born to Evelyn Whitaker. No Hargrove in sight. Daddy had been a one-night stand. Some oil roughneck from Texas who'd split before the stick turned pink. She'd reinvented herself post-divorce, snagging old man Hargrove with lies about pedigree, then offing him in a tragic boating accident that smelled fishy to anyone with a nose for scandals. Insurance windfall?
Check.
Quick remarriage to consolidate power?
Check.
And Tyler, the pawn she'd molded into her spitting image, none the wiser. Telling him would shatter everything. But letting her ban me? That was the final straw. So, I booked my own ticket, not the family suite, but economy, the kind with portholes smudged by salt. I'd board as Sienna Ramirez, ghost from her past, and drop the bomb mid-voyage. Livestream it if I had to. Turn her legacy cruise into a floating TMZ circus. The board would revolt. Investors would bail. And Tyler. Well, he'd have to choose. Me or the myth. As the ship horn blared in my mind's eye, I packed light, laptop, flash drive, a bottle of tequila from Dad's stash. Revenge wasn't pretty, but neither was betrayal. And Evelyn Hargrove? She'd built her throne on sand. Time to watch it wash away. The flight to Seattle was a blur of recycled air and regret, my carry-on digging into my ribs like a guilty conscience. Mia and Jack stayed with my parents. Go get 'em. Mommy, Mia had whispered, Her 7-year-old eyes fierce, like mine used to be before life sanded the edges. Tyler texted nonstop. Please? Sienna? Call Mom. She's bluffing. Bluffing. As if she'd ever bluffed about anything. The woman once sued a gardener for emotional distress over wilted hydrangeas.
No.
This was calculated. A public excision to signal to her cronies that the problematic daughter-in-law was out. I landed with a migraine and a resolve hardened by jet fuel fumes. The cruise terminal buzzed like a hive, families in floral shirts hauling luggage carts. The air thick with sunscreen and salmon from nearby markets. I scanned the crowd for the Hargrove contingent, Evelyn in her signature white linen, Tyler trailing like a whipped dog, Brooke hovering with that predatory smile. There they were, boarding priority line, champagne flutes already in hand for the welcome toast. My stomach twisted. That was my money sloshing in those glasses. Siphoned from my 401k when Tyler's expansion project cratered. I hung back, flashing my ticket to the harried attendant, a forged upgrade I'd bought off a shady forum for $300. Sienna Whitaker. It read, a nod to the ghost on that birth cert. The ship loomed like a steel behemoth, SS Legacy etched in gold on the hull. Evelyn's vanity project rechristened after she strong-armed the cruise line into a sponsorship deal. I slipped aboard amid the throng, heart pounding as the gangway groaned underfoot. Cabins were assigned alphabetically. Mine was a closet next to the crew quarters. But it had a view of the icebergs we'd chase north, and metaphorically, of the woman who'd freeze me out. First night was orientation, safety drills, and small talk in the atrium. Chandeliers dripping light like fake diamonds. I spotted Tyler across the room, laughing too loud at some uncle's joke, his eyes darting like he sensed a storm. Evelyn held court by the bar, regaling a cluster of Botox socialites with tales of her latest acquisition, a Napa vineyard she'd rescued from bankruptcy. Rescued. Like the tenants in that South LA blaze. Handed eviction notices amid the ashes. I nursed a soda water, plotting my approach. Direct confrontation? Too messy. To her style.
No.
I'd peel back the layers, one secret at a time, until she unraveled in front of her adoring public. Dinner was family seating, but since I was uninvited, I crashed the singles table, divorcees swapping war stories over lobster bisque. What's your poison? A silver fox from Chicago asked, clinking his glass to mine. In-laws, I replied, and the table erupted in cheers. It felt good, that camaraderie of the cast-offs. But as the ship cut through Puget Sound, fog rolling in like a shroud, my phone buzzed. Tyler. Where are you? Mom's asking about the kids.
Lies.
I could picture her, scrolling her contacts, ensuring my name was scrubbed from the manifest. Sleep came fitful, dreams of fire and falsified forms. By morning,
We were at sea.
the captain's voice crackling over speakers. Welcome to day one. Hargrove Legacy Edition. Sponsored event.
My ass.
I'd trace the funds. 50 grand from an account I'd seeded years ago. Back when Evelyn loaned Tyler seed money for his first flip, only to call it due when he faltered. I'd covered it, of course, with a bonus from delivering twins during a blackout shift. Anonymous. Always.
Now.
As the deck crew prepped for the first excursion, kayaking in Tracy Armfjord, I suited up in borrowed gear, blending with the plebs. That's when I saw her, Brooke, Tyler's ex-mistress turned family friend, lounging by the rail in a bikini that screamed midlife crisis. She was Evelyn's mini-me, all sharp cheekbones and sharper ambition. Promoted to VP after the fire scandal to diversify the board. I approached casual, like we were old sorority sisters. Sienna? What the? Her eyes widened, then narrowed. Evelyn said you weren't coming. Surprise, I said. Voice honey over gravel. Must have been a glitch. Tyler, no. She fidgeted, glancing toward the upper deck where the VIPs sipped mimosas. He's handling it. Look, this is awkward. Maybe disembark at the next port, handling it. Like I was a spill to mop up. I leaned in, close enough to smell her coconut oil. Tell Evelyn I'll see her at the gala tonight. Got a toast prepared. Her laugh was forced, brittle. You're bold. But she's got the Hargrove name locked down. You're just the ex-nurse.
Ex-nurse.
The word hit like a slap. I'd quit 6 months ago, burned out from covering Tyler's debts. But it was my lifeline, the one thing she'd never tainted. As Brooke flounced away, I gripped the rail, knuckles white against the spray. The water below turned black. Indifferent. Bold? Damn right.
And tonight.
At the captain's gala, black tie. Celebrity chef menu. I'd start the unmaking. The afternoon blurred into fjord paddles and photo ops. Me snapping candids of Evelyn posing with influencers. Her smile a rictus of triumph. Tyler caught my eye once. From the tender boat. His face paling like he'd seen a ghost. Good. Let him sweat. Back aboard. I changed into the one gala dress I'd packed, a sleek black number from my pre-marriage days. Simple but fierce. No Hargrove frills. The ballroom glittered. Strings of lights mimicking auroras. Tables groaning under Alaskan king crab and Dungeness. Evelyn entered like royalty, arm in arm with a state senator, her gown a cascade of silver scales. I waited until the speeches, slipping into the seat beside Tyler at the family table, unnoticed in the chaos. Sienna, he hissed, fork clattering. You can't, but Evelyn was at the podium, voice amplified, to legacies built on trust, on family first. To the Hargroves, unbreakable, applause thundered. I stood then, glass raised. The room's hum dying as eyes turned. Here, I called.
Clear and calm.
To unbreakable? Or unmasked? Murmurs rippled. Evelyn's gaze locked on me. Arctic.
Sienna.
This is a private event. Private. On a public ship. Funded by public money, mine. Private like the fire in South LA? I said, voice carrying. The one you pinned on me to save your quarterly earnings?
Gasps.
Tyler froze. Fork midway to mouth. Brooke choked on her wine. Evelyn recovered, slick. Smile pasted. Darling, you're overwrought. Security. But I wasn't done. Flash drive in hand. I waved it like a flag. Or private like Tyler's real dad, the roughneck from Texas. Not dear old Hargrove. The room exploded. Whispers to shouts. Phones out recording. Evelyn's face cracked. Just a fraction. But enough. Lies, she spat. But her voice wavered. Tyler grabbed my arm, whispering frantic. Stop. Please. For the kids. For the kids. The ones she'd ban next if I pushed. Security loomed. But the captain intervened, protocol for disruptions on sponsored sales. As they escorted me out, Evelyn's eyes promised war. But in the elevator,
Alone.
I smiled. Round one to me. The real fight? That was just dawning over the horizon. Dawn broke gray and unforgiving. The ship slicing through inside passage swells like a knife through fogged glass. My cabin was a sardine tin, but the Wi-Fi hummed strong. Thank God for maritime capitalism. By breakfast, the videos were viral. Hargrove cruise crash, trending on X. Clips of my toast dissected by true crime pods and mommy bloggers alike. Is the dial spilling tea, or just spilling wine? One headline snarked. Real estate queen's dirty secrets exposed mid-voyage. Crowed another. Evelyn's PR machine spun overtime, statements about family matters and misunderstandings, but the birth certs I'd emailed to a TMZ tip line pre-boarding? That was catnip. Tyler cornered me in the solarium at noon, palms sweaty as he clutched a coffee. Sienna? What the hell? Mom's livid. The senator pulled out of the deal. Livid. Understatement of the century. I'd glimpsed her earlier, pacing the promenade with Brooke, gestures sharp as switchblades. Good, I said, sipping my latte, irony not lost. Since I'd met him over one just like it. Maybe she'll feel what it's like to lose something real. He deflated, sliding into the wicker chair opposite. It wasn't supposed to go down like this. The fire. I thought signing that NDA would protect us. Mom said it was temporary, just till the heat died. Protect us. From what? Her felony fraud? I leaned forward, voice low. You let me take the blame. Tenants called my job, left voicemails saying I'd burned their homes. I had to quit because of the threats. His eyes welled, crocodile tears. Or maybe genuine this time. I know. And the money. God. Sienna. I didn't realize how much you'd covered. But outing the birth thing? That's cruel. Cruel. The word hung between us, heavier than the glaciers we'd pass tomorrow. Cruel like banning me from a trip I'd funded? Like gaslighting me into therapy while she bedded down with your future? But I swallowed it. Because beneath the rage was the boy I'd loved, the one who danced with me at our wedding to La Bamba, ignoring his mother's scowl. It's not about cruelty, I said finally. It's truth. She built this family on lies. And you're still dancing to her tune. He reached for my hand, but I pulled back. What do you want? Divorce? The kids. The kids.
Mia se gaptud green.
Jax's obsession with dinosaurs. They'd been my anchor. The reason I'd stayed silent so long. I want you to choose, I told him. Her empire or us. But if you pick wrong, I trailed off, letting the unsaid echo, custody battles, tabloid fodder. The whole American dream curdled into nightmare. He left without an answer, slinking back to the family deck like a scolded pup. I spent the afternoon in the library, a wood-paneled nook smelling of leather and lies, poring over news alerts. The board was fracturing, 2 directors resigning, citing ethical concerns. Evelyn's stock dipped 3 points overnight, whispers of SEC probes circling like sharks. But she wasn't done. By evening, as we docked in Juneau for the salmon bake excursion, a note slipped under my door. Meet me in the observation lounge. Midnight.
Come alone.
Curiosity killed the cat, but satisfaction brought it back, armed with the recorder app on my phone. The lounge was deserted. Stars pricking the Alaska night through floor-to-ceiling glass. The ship a silent sentinel in port. Evelyn arrived precisely at 12, heels clicking like countdowns. No gown this time, just slacks and a cashmere sweater. hair pulled back severe. You in the skirmish. Sienna, she said, pouring scotch from a decanter, offering me none. But wars aren't won on gossip. I sat across from her, legs crossed, channeling every telenovela queen I'd binge-watched with Mom. Gossip? Try evidence. The emails on the fire suppression bids, your sign-off. The tenant depositions I pulled from public records. And that birth cert? Originals in a safe deposit box in Pasadena. Bluff on the last. It was hidden in my parents' attic, but her flinch was priceless. You're out of your depth.
Girl.
This isn't some East LA grudge match. It's business. Business. Her favorite euphemism for everything from evictions to emotional terrorism. Funny. You always called it family. Remember Mia's baptism? You gifted her that diamond bracelet, then forgot to insure it when we borrowed it for your gala auction. Her eyes narrowed. Ah, the hit. That bracelet. Pawned for 20 grand to cover Tyler's gambling binge, which she'd then blamed on my overspending. Details, she waved dismissively. But let's cut the crap. What do you want?
Money?
A cabin upgrade? Name it, and I'll make it disappear. Disappear. Like the truth. Or me. I laughed, low and bitter. I want the cruise. My name on the manifest. My seat at your table. And an apology, public, to the family, to the tenants. Admit you used me as your fall guy. She sipped, considering, the scotch catching light like liquid gold. Apologize?
To you?
The woman who seduced my son for a green card. Green card. The old slur. Dusted off like an heirloom. I'd been a citizen since 18, but facts never stopped her. Seduced? I loved him. Still do. Maybe.
But you?
You groomed him into your mini-me. Hid his real roots, so he'd never question the throne. Her glass paused midway. He was mine. Every board meeting, every deal, I made him. Made him. Like a Frankenstein of fortunes. And the accident? Daddy Hargrove's boating mishap? I pressed, twisting the knife. Rumors had swirled for years, brake lines cut, alibi airtight, but I'd found the mechanic's invoice in her files. Paid off in cash. Evelyn set her glass down. Deliberate. You think you're the Avenger?
Fine.
But heroes don't destroy families. She slid a folder across the table, photos. Grainy, but damning. Me at 20. Clubbing in downtown LA with an ex from nursing school. Lines of coke on a mirror. Your little habit. Before Tyler cleaned you up. One call to CPS. And those grandkids are mine. Blackmail. Vintage Evelyn. My pulse thundered. But I held steady. Fabricated. And even if true, you enabled worse, Tyler's benders. Brooks overtimed. We stared. Two queens in a chess game of bloodlines. Then, soft as sea mist, truce? She extended a hand, rings glinting. I hesitated. The smart play was walk away. Lawyer up shoreside. But revenge is a drug. And I was hooked. Truce, I said, shaking. Her grip was iron. As she left, I checked the recording, crystal clear. Insurance for round 2. But midnight truces crack by dawn. Next morning, over bear watching in Glacier Bay, Tyler pulled me aside on the tender. Mom offered you a settlement. $1 million. Non-disclosure. For the kid's sake. $1 million. Blood money. And you? I asked. He looked away. toward the ice floes calving into the sea.
I.
I told her yes.
Yes. The choice.
My heart splintered, but I nodded. Tell her I'll take it. But first, one last toast. At the finale dinner, he bought it, relief flooding his face. But as the boat churned back, I deleted the app's safety copy. No truce. Just time. Evelyn thought she'd bought silence. Tyler thought he'd saved face. They didn't know the finale wasn't hers. It was mine, a toast to unmask the queen, with the whole ship as witnesses. And when the horns blared for the captain's farewell, I'd raise my glass to the woman who'd paid for it all. The finale dinner was billed as Aurora Majesty, northern lights projected on the ceiling, tables draped in midnight blue, caviar towers and filet mignon airlifted from the mainland. The ship hugged the Alaskan coast. Final port Astoria tomorrow. But tonight was Evelyn's swan song. Speeches, awards, a slideshow of Hargrove triumphs set to orchestral swells. I'd upgraded, legally this time, with a refund from the pleb ticket, to a table ringside, close enough to smell her Chanel. Tyler sat between us, buffer zone incarnate, his tie askew like a noose half-tied. Evelyn entered to applause, radiant in emerald velvet, a brooch shaped like Alaska pin to her lapel, tacky symbolism for the Empire's northern expansion. Brooke flanked her, clipboard in hand, directing waitstaff like a warden. The senator was gone, replaced by a hedge fund bro with wandering eyes. I wore red, Valentino knockoff from Melrose, but it screamed blood on the snow. As courses wheeled out, oysters Rockefeller. My least favorite. Petty jab or coincidence. Conversations skirted the elephant, the leaks, the dips, the dawning dread. To new horizons, Evelyn toasted midway, glass aloft, eyes skipping me like a glitch. The family echoed, clinks ringing hollow. Tyler squeezed my knee under the table. Morse code for behave. But behave was for bridesmaids, not widows in waiting. When the slideshow cued faded photos of young Evelyn in Bakersfield dirt, rags to riches narration, I stood, mic in hand from the MC's laps. Horizons, I echoed, voice steady over the speakers. Like the one you sailed away from. Evelyn, leaving Texas behind. Whitaker on the birth cert. Murmurs again. But thicker now. The crowd included press. Influencers she'd comped for coverage. Tyler hissed. Sit down, but I pressed on. Or the horizon of that boating accident? Brake fluid drained. Mechanic paid off, I have the receipts. Gasps rippled. Phones rising like periscopes. Evelyn rose slow. Face a mass cracking at the edges. Enough. This is libel. Libel? Try larceny. I cued my laptop, hijacked the AV system via a crew buddy I'd tipped with Starbucks cards, and the screen flickered. Bank transfers? My name buried in footnotes. Fire inspection waivers. Her e-signature bold. The birth cert. Enlarged. Tyler James Whitaker staring back. The room fractured. Uncles muttering. Aunts fanning themselves. Brooke bolting for the exit. Tyler gaped. Color draining. Mom. Is it true? Evelyn whirled on him. Venom unleashed. You weak fool. I built this for you. Erase the trash, so you'd have a name worth wearing. Trash. The words she'd whispered about me 100 times, now turned on her own blood. Tyler recoiled. Chair scraping. You lied. About Dad. About everything. The chaos bloomed. A board member shouting for calm. Waiters frozen mid-pour. the aurora lights pulsing like a migraine. Security surged, but the captain, briefed anonymously via email, waved them off. Ma'am, this vessel prioritizes safety, including from falsehoods. Safety. Evelyn's empire crumbled in real time, her phone buzzing with alerts, stock plummeting 8 points. SEC tip line lit up. She lunged for me then, nails raking air. You bitch. I'll bury you. But Tyler stepped between, voice breaking. No.
Mom.
It's over. Over. The word hung as the slideshow looped. Her triumphs now tombstones. She sagged, suddenly small, the queen dethroned by her own script. For the family, she whispered. But it was plea now, not command. I could have stopped there, walked into the night, settlement in pocket, kids secured. But revenge has teeth, and mine bit deep. Family, I said, soft for the mics. You banned yours first. Remember the email? Severance from the legacy.
Well,
consider this your pink slip. The room erupted, applause from some, boos from kin, flashes popping like gunfire. Tyler turned to me, eyes searching. Sienna. I choose you.
Us.
But too late? The twist hit then. Gut punch from the gods, as security finally escorted Evelyn away. Not to jail. Not yet. But to her suite for cooling off. Brooke reappeared, smirking, a USB in hand. Insurance, she'd say later. In the deposition. Turns out, Evelyn hadn't blackmailed alone. Brooke had dirt on me too, the old photos. But worse, forged docs tying me to the fire's arson cover. A plant to flip the script.
Twist.
No one was clean. I'd paid for the cruise. Sure. But in digging, I'd unearthed my own skeletons. That nursing school fling wasn't just coke. It was a hit-and-run fender bender I'd buried. License suspended. Never told Tyler. Evelyn knew. Weaponized it through Brooke. The gala dissolved into lawsuits, her suing me for defamation, me countersuing for fraud, Tyler filing for divorce citing irreconcilable betrayals. The kids? Split custody. Holidays a battlefield. Shoreside in Seattle. Rain sheeting the docks. I watched the SS Legacy shrink to a speck. Mia hugged me fierce. Did you win? Mommy.
Win?
The board ousted Evelyn. Tyler got rehab instead of riches. Brooke slithered to a rival firm.
Me?
I got the house in Silver Lake. Back pay from the loans, and a book deal brewing. Unmasked, a cruise to reckoning. But as sirens wailed from a distant SEC raid, I wondered, hero or villain? The readers would argue. Forums ablaze with she deserved it versus family destroyer. Evelyn? Last I heard. She's in a gated community in Palm Springs, writing memoirs that set the record straight. Tyler sends cards for the kids.
And signed.
And me? I sip lattes in Pasadena. Scars fading. But the hook lingers. Was the revenge sweet? Or just another lie we tell to sleep at night? In America, where dreams are built on borrowed time, maybe there's no difference. Legacy? It's whatever you pay for, and damn the cost.